Spring has sprung.
Spring has sprung.
My porch is covered in flower semen, if you want to look at it that way. They're just
flower jizz.
Flowers ejaculating all over my porch. It's disgusting.
I am doing... So today was kind of I'm just more of the same because I'm still quarantining, still alone. So today was just like another kind of day, but I have a lot of hope because I get my second vaccine on the 9th.
I know, and I got mine. I'm getting mine on the 15th, and then we're hanging out. We have a date together.
We did this May 1st
on the Adam and Andy show, on the Adam and Andy podcast. We made a date to hang out, which is April 1st. Yeah,
May 1st.
May 1st. You're right. May 1st, not April 1st. I was like, where is it? May 1st. We're gonna hang out. Maybe we'll get some takeout. Maybe we'll get some takeout.
IRL.
We'll get some takeout.
Maybe
we'll watch Barry.
Cuddling.
We'll be cuddling.
Snuggling.
We'll be braiding each other's hair.
Breathing all over each other.
I might lick your face.
It's okay. I'll make sure to wash my face. Do a mask.
I feel like the first time I hug you, I don't want to build this up too much for us anticipation wise, but I feel like I'm going to burst into tears the first time we hug.
Yeah.
Because it's been over a year.
Yeah, I know. Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
Yeah, I feel like walking around my neighborhood and seeing the flowers blooming and knowing that life is starting to come back. It all feels very symbolic in a nerdy way for me. And I know we can't go back to normal. I know there are people out there who are acting like things are back to normal. I still think we should all be wearing masks in public. I will be wearing my mask unless I am amongst my people that I know in a group and everyone is vaccinated. I will be wearing a mask in public. I will not be eating indoors.
Nope.
Because I might be vaccinated, but infection rates are still high and my children are not protected. My children are not vaccinated. So if my children are not vaccinated, then I don't feel like I still don't want them to get COVID. So I have to continue to behave accordingly. And I hope other people in the community will as well. I know a lot of people have already been pretending like it's been over for a while. So I don't expect them to change their behavior. But it will feel good to be, at this point I've had one shot, so I'm partially protected, but I'm not fully protected. So I'm still waiting to get that second shot in April. Yep. And then I'm feeling good about that. We're going to make a movie. We've got plans to shoot a movie in August. So we're talking about that, for the first time, seriously talking about getting back on set and shooting a film. Yeah. And that feels really good.
Really good.
I've missed it. Yes. We did shoot the sketch show virtually on Zoom. And I had a great time doing that. It was super fun, but I miss being on set. So I'm looking forward to that. Has been really hard to not have that in my life. So I'm looking forward to being back on set.
Yeah.
Later this year. So Sarah, what have you been watching? What have you been watching lately?
I've been watching a lot of The Simpsons.
Oh, okay. So you're circling back to The Simpsons.
Circling back because
on Disney Plus?
Disney Plus, yes. So I didn't watch The Simpsons when I was a kid. I watched it for the first time when I was in high school, I think. And mostly in college. I don't know. I was in college for a long time, but in the years when one would be in college, I watched up to season 13, I think. So, because we have the box sets.
Okay.
So I watched them all on DVD before things were streamed. And then I think our last box set was season 13, so that I didn't watch.
How many seasons are there?
30.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Well, that makes sense because I was 10 years old when that show came out.
Their first year was 89.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. And so they're I'm 1 year older than The Simpsons because I was born in 88. But yeah, so it's about...
That's fucking crazy.
31 or something like that. I don't know. And so they're still on. Like, if you look up The Simpsons, it's like 1989 to pre pre present, and
Wow.
I don't know
Wow.
how. And, I think that I saw a few episodes here and there of the later seasons when they came on TV, and they definitely updated, like, cell phones now exist in that world, and texting, and
As they should.
all that
So
stuff.
Bart's like texting people now, pictures
Yeah,
of his butt and stuff.
probably. So,
Yeah.
like, they've updated the time period, but all of the like, in the very ear ear early seasons, they kind of had years, like the years that Bart was born. It's like they had a distinct, like, this is the year that he was born, this is the year that Lisa was born, this is the year that Homer and Marge met. But then as time went on, it's like
It got muddy. Yeah.
they can't use those same dates.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
And it's
funny.
just like, yeah.
I mean, it's animated, so we'll let it go.
So, I
Yeah.
guess what I wanted to say about The Simpsons is that every single episode has so many cringe moments that are, like, just really inappropriate, really non-PC, offensive,
Mhm.
racial,
The old
sexual.
episodes, you mean?
Old episodes, yeah, so
Okay.
I'm in season 8 right now, but even through this whole time, season 1 to 8, and probably going forward, like, every episode is problematic and is like, "Ooh, that would not be okay now," and yikes, like, very problematic things that I reflect on, and I'm like, I watched that, when I was in high school, and I didn't think anything of that, and I didn't think that was an issue, or
Oh,
or
yeah.
maybe.
I watch old SNL sketches and I'm like, "Ooh. Ugh." Like, I
Yeah,
mean,
so
comedy sometimes doesn't age well.
no,
Yeah.
and just very apparent,
Well,
racial
there's,
stereotypes, the
Apu, right? The
yeah.
didn't, Hank Azaria eventually say, "I'm not gonna do this character anymore"?
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
so.
I'm pretty sure. He
Um,
was like, we need to retire this. It's
yeah,
not cool."
yeah. I mean, there were lots of things like that. Like that, he was like a big character, but like there were lots of things like that. Lots of um, and I feel like I'm just
No,
rambling
I
now,
think
but
that
yeah,
it's
basically like
you're getting a look you're looking through you're looking at a show from the 1990s through a 2021 lens, and
yeah,
it's
and
not
it's
looking so good.
not looking so good, but it's still like it's still very actually, I don't know. Like I used to think that The Simpsons was very smart and very funny and very um good, but the more I'm watching it, the more I'm seeing that it really relied on these stereotypes and tropes, and I don't know if it's actually as good as I thought.
Mm. Well, maybe you can come back and report uh
How
back on the show how it
the later
changes. Yeah.
seasons.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
do like Lisa. Lisa has always been very feminist and strong and pro, like she's like
Oh my god,
Buddhist and a vegan, and
we didn't talk about this in the episode. Of course, we'll be discussing Promising Young Woman today. This is part 2 of our discussion on Promising Young Woman. We didn't talk about this on the show, but it really stuck out to me what Madison said about feminism, and
what
how,
she
like,
say?
she said every man wants a feminist in college because they like women that care about something. And then
Mhm.
she says also, fun fact, feminists are more likely to do anal. And then she says, but then once they're out of college, they want a good girl.
Mhm.
I just thought that was really interesting because I think in a lot of ways that's true. Um,
Well, how are feminists and good girls mutually
they're not.
exclusive?
They're not. But I mean, the perception of once you get out of college, it's time to stop being that angry young woman. You know what I mean? Like it's
Mhm.
time. What are you so angry about? You get to go to college. You went to med school. Like what are you so mad about? You know?
Have a baby.
Have a baby. Awesome. So I have been rewatching the Marvel films with my kids, also on Disney Plus. Not sponsored by this podcast is not sponsored by Disney
I've
Plus,
not
but
seen most of those films. Maybe I should.
I mean, we could talk about them, for funsies. I know it sounds crazy for us to watch movies and not have a specific reason to watch them, but we watched you'll have to catch up. We watched Captain America, which I thought was going to be super boring. It's like there are a few Marvel movies I've never seen. Captain America was one of them. Thought it was going to be boring. I actually enjoyed it. Liked the bromance.
Romance.
Chris Evans is cute and charming, and he does a good like pure of heart
I like those
character.
pure of heart guys.
I think you'll like Captain America then.
Okay.
Very simple, good guys, bad guys, Nazis bad kind of scenario.
Mhm.
Lucas really enjoyed Captain America. He thought, have you seen the picture? So you know that he starts tiny and then he gets big, right?
No, I don't know anything about Captain America.
Okay, well then you'll just watch it and we'll have to
I
talk about it.
saw your Facebook post
Yeah,
about it.
Lucas thought that the actor Chris Evans, like that his real body looks like tiny Steve Rogers and not the
When you say
Captain
tiny, you mean
America.
like
I'm
tiny?
not going to say, you'll have to see. You'll have to watch it. Anyway, I just thought it was really funny because he thinks that the buff Captain America body that Chris Evans has is fake, but
It
the tiny
is.
Steve Rogers body is real. He
I'm just
worked
kidding. I'm
out
just
to look
kidding. I
like
know.
that. He did. I don't know
I
what he
know. I'm
did to make
joking.
his body look like that, but so we watched that. We watched Captain Marvel, which I just
I
love.
like it.
I
Yeah.
love that my kids are like seeing these like fucking. I love Captain Marvel. First of all, it's
Me
a very
too.
emotional experience for me because I love that it's this badass superhero and that she's being gaslit the whole time by a captor. She's
Mhm.
being gaslit and told that her emotions are what hold her back, like all of us women have been told our whole lives. And for that to be like worked into a superhero story is like everybody's like, oh, it's social justice warriors, blah blah. Okay, whatever. Have you guys ever heard of the Hulk? I'm talking generally to the public here. Have you heard of the Hulk? The guy who can't control his emotions, who can't control his anger? That's something men can relate to, I'm sure. Well, as women, we can certainly relate to being told that we're never going to be good enough because we can't control our emotions.
Mhm.
And and I love Nick Fury and Captain Marvel's relationship. I love Maria Rambeau, and then Monica Rambeau we get to see again later in WandaVision. So it's a great movie. The Flurkin, love him. It's very funny. The whole thing. I really enjoy Captain Marvel a lot, so I like that. So I guess the next one we're gonna watch is Iron Man.
Okay, I've seen Iron Man.
I haven't seen Iron Man in years. I have a feeling it's probably not going to hold up, and because there's going to be a lot of Arabs as bad guys kind of stuff, and so
Yeah.
I'm not looking forward to
Well, that
those
was made back
stereotypes.
in that time
I know,
when
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, but still, not looking forward to revisiting those stereotypes. We're doing this in part because we started watching Falcon and Winter Soldier, which at first, of course, WandaVision, loved it. I miss WandaVision, miss that show. It was so good. I'm
Haven't
still sad
seen
about it.
seen
Sarah, it's
that
so
yet.
good. So good. Um, I miss WandaVision. And then I watched the pilot of Falcon and Winter Soldier and I was like, oh, this is fun. It's now starting to get good. Like in the second episode, I'm like, ooh, things are getting interesting. They're exploring interesting dynamics. They're exploring, Falcon and his like how he feels about being a person of color who's a superhero, and they're kind of like bringing that in, and how this is like typically like like we see all these white guys who are the hero, and like how does it feel to be in a world like that? And then anyway, I'm not going to say too much about it, but it is something that was brought up in the second episode, and I thought that it's really interesting that they're sort of working that in.
Wait, is
Um,
this a series?
yeah, it's a series.
Okay.
Also, I like Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan. They have good chemistry as actors together, so I'm enjoying watching them banter. They've got this sort of figurehead Captain America, who So there's this whole idea of like, okay, well, if the U.S. government steps in and tries to make a Captain America, um, you know, and foist that symbol upon people, and then that guy is also it seems like, at least at this point, trying his best to also actually help people. That makes things complicated. Anyway, they're introducing a lot of interesting dynamics and a lot of things to do with these men and what they want from their future and from each other and what their relationships are. And so I thought it was just going to be a blow 'em up show, but it's got feelings. And so I'm excited about it. I'm interested. Um, so I hope it continues to have layers, because I like my superhero movies with layers. I get bored without layers. Look, nothing will replace WandaVision in my heart, but Falcon and Winter Soldier I'm enjoying quite a bit at the moment. I thought it was just going to be a little appetizer on my way to Loki, but it turns out I'm catching feelings.
Okay.
For Falcon and Winter Soldier. So
interesting.
Shall we get into talking about today's movie?
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
All right. So, guys, this week we're back to part 2 of Promising Young Woman. Now, I'm going to say at the top here that Promising Young Woman is a film about the trauma of sexual abuse and assault and rape. And so if that is something that you that is going to bring up some difficult feelings for you and is triggering, then you may want to skip this episode, because we are going to be talking about that kind of stuff in relation to this movie. So if you need if it's best for you to skip this episode, please do, and we'll catch you next on the next film. But in the meantime, let's get right back into talking about Promising Young Woman.
The house is a mess, Jack. The kids are a mess, Jack. You're a mess, Jack.
You have been a total bitch ever since you came to New York.
You seem sort of distant.
Let's just do it, huh?
You look stupid and rich. Stupid and rich.
Fascist.
All right, let's get into it.
And Madison's calling her and calling her and calling her and calling her. What did I do? What did I do?
She doesn't call her back. Like, I think that is like, I think that's too far too. I think that's like, I mean, I think that making someone suffer doesn't right a wrong.
It doesn't. Do I feel, knowing that nothing physically happened to her and that it was just a way to demonstrate to her how wrong what she did, knowing that she was never physically assaulted. Shit, I don't know. If somebody I really loved had been through what Nina had been through and died because of it, I don't know what I would do to the people involved if I could. I don't know, Sarah. Do I feel like Madison deserved that? Fuck, I don't know. I wish I could
learn from it. Like, we see her in that last scene. She's like, "Don't contact me again. Here's the cell phone."
Well, in a way, I think she did learn a little bit, because she does cough up the phone with the video on it. I don't think she forgot about that video. I think she knew that she had that video.
Mm-hmm.
I think she just made a choice to relinquish the video at the time that she did. Yeah. So maybe she did learn something. I'm not saying it's right. I don't know what I'm saying. I don't think the movie takes a stance on it either. I did begin to feel like Madison was Cassie was taking things too far, but I also was like, well, Madison is a fucking cunt. So
Alison Brie.
Maybe she deserved to get her. Yeah, Alison Brie. Everybody in this movie was so fucking good. Everybody, great performances, all of them. Stellar cast. Yeah, maybe Madison deserved to get her tree shook a little bit. Maybe she did. I mean, that was a real shitty thing that she did. And someone died because of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think
and she had that video, Sarah, the whole time. She had that video. Yeah. At no point did anyone give that as evidence to the university.
And like this whole situation, like it's a movie, but this stuff happens.
It is
all
real
the time.
Real.
All the time, people are recording this shit and sharing it, and no one
ruining people's lives.
It, and the people in charge don't hold the men accountable, and this happens all the time.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, I think the characters of Madison and the Dean really portray how women, even women who like this could happen to them,
They
they
perpetrate
don't
this rape
see
culture
it.
as well. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so let's talk about Dean Walker,
Mhm.
played by Connie Britton.
Great.
This was hard for me because I'm a mother. And I did wonder, like, did she really? So what happens is so Cassie shows up and starts asking if Dean Walker remembers Nina and what happened to her. And basically, Dean Walker is like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't remember your friend." And also, uh, that happens like every other week. And it's like,
Yeah.
that should be a fucking red flag to you
Yeah.
that so many women are coming and reporting assaults at your university. That's a fucking epidemic. So what she does is she picks up the dean's teenage daughter from school and drives her to a diner, pretends that her favorite band is there. Obviously did some research on her on social media. I think this movie underneath also is a lot about social media and how much we expose ourselves
Yeah.
to this kind of stuff over social media. But what she tells the dean is that she dropped off her daughter in the same room where Nina was assaulted and left her with some boys with vodka. Well, men, I should say, grown men, because she's a teenager and they're
Yeah.
men.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, did she really do that? Did she really do that?
Yeah. And she didn't.
No.
But she made her believe that she did.
Mm-hmm.
And that is when the dean is like, "Wait, like, that's my daughter," and so Cassie is like, "So it only means something to you if it's someone you love."
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. I mean, intense. But yeah, unfortunately, I think for a lot of people, it only matters when it's someone they know.
Yeah, and Dean also said that, she has to give the boys the benefit of the doubt.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, "Why?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why can't you give the women the benefit of the doubt?"
Right. Exactly. Um. So before she leaves, she does tell her, "Your daughter's at the diner. You can call." Oh God, when she pulls the phone out, because she takes the
Yeah.
girl's phone. When she pulls the phone out and lays it on the table and is like, "Oh, I have your daughter's phone." I was like, "Holy fucking shit!" Like, if I were this girl's mother, I would have launched across the table and choked this woman already. You know, like, it's crazy.
Well, I'm, like, really shocked that Cassie gets away with all of this intimidation and threatening and no one reports her, no one tries to get her arrested or anything, like
I think it was starting to catch up with her because she had been doing it so often that people were starting to recognize, "Oh, you're the girl that
yeah,
went home with." I think it would have caught up with her. And it
yeah,
does, Sarah.
it does.
It actually does catch up with her in a big way. Um let's I So then after that we have the whole tire iron scene in which she just like parks her car in the middle of the road hoping that a man will stop and yell at her, I guess, which frankly is pretty believable that that would happen. And then again, this I think is another example of the violence sort of rippling outward. Like, she feels this anger inside of her. And again, women are not allowed to be angry. And in Jennifer's body, we have a woman who's so angry that she literally like turns into a demon that eats boys, right? So we have that
Mhm.
rage represented in the demon aspect of Jennifer. And here, she's got this rage inside of her that's so deep that even scaring the dean doesn't satisfy it. So she has to like take a crowbar to some guy's taillights.
Mhm.
Again, did he deserve it? I mean, he was a dick, but I don't know if it helps anything to. I don't think it helps to bash his windshield in, you know?
Yeah,
But she needs something to release this anger, you
yeah.
know? Um Do you want to talk about the lawyer now?
Yeah.
Alfred Molina?
Yes.
Mr. Green, Dr. Green, I don't know. He's the lawyer.
Mr. Green, yeah.
He represents he represented Al as well as many other boys or men, I should say, that were accused of the same thing, and he got them all. Well, it looks like Nina's trial Nina didn't even get to the trial.
No.
She dropped the case because he bullied her into dropping the case.
He said you find one picture on Facebook where someone's drunk and it's it. Like that's all you need.
The jury will turn on them. And it's true. So he's different than everybody else when she gets there.
Yeah. He is expecting it. And she's like, "Do you want me to hurt you?" And he's like, "I think I do."
He's the only person who seems to feel remorse.
Yeah.
And
who really has thought about what he's done.
And has had a psychotic break, he says. And she doesn't really know what to do with it. It scares her a little bit.
And he also puts his head in her lap, which I also didn't care for.
Yeah, and I don't think she cared for it either. But yeah, she doesn't know what to do with him because he's the only person who has shown any sign of remorse or any kind of negative feelings about what happened to Nina. Also, he's the only one who remembers her.
Yeah.
He's the first person that goes, "Oh yeah, Nina." Before she even says who it is, Nina was her name. He remembers her immediately. So it's in a way, it's that's, I don't know that would have fixed everything, but in a way that was what she was looking for. Someone to remember Nina and to share in the sadness that Cassie is carrying around all the time, And he says, "I'll never forgive myself for what I did to her or them, any of them. I won't forgive myself for any of it." And she forgives him.
She forgives him.
What did you think about that? Yeah.
It did, because this whole movie so far has been about her exacting revenge after revenge, and for her to just forgive him after all of this time and all of the things he did. And I think that she did that for him. I think that she might have not forgiven him in her heart, but she might have just said that to him to make him
It's interesting.
Or
I think she meant it. And I think there's this idea, there's the whole idea that when you hold on to something, if someone is poisonous and you drink that poison, you're holding that poison, you're the one poisoning yourself.
Yeah.
And that forgiveness allows you to to leech the poison away from you.
Yeah. No, I know that, but I just feel like at no point in the movie did she seem to release any of her feelings. I feel like she didn't forgive. And so
I don't think she forgived anybody else. The reason I think she forgived him is because she trusts him enough to send him the phone at the end, which is a really big deal. So I think she does. I think she means it when she says, "I forgive you."
Okay.
Whether he deserves her forgiveness or not, I can't say. But I think she means it. Otherwise, she wouldn't have sent him the phone.
Yeah.
Okay. So then we have her go to Nina's mom's house.
Mm-hmm.
And Nina's mom is basically like, "You got to let this go for all of us."
Mm-hmm.
And then she does try to let it go.
She does. She throws away her book.
Mm-hmm.
Her tally book
Mm-hmm.
of the guys that she attracts at bars.
Which, man, there were a lot of hash marks.
A lot of hash marks. And she gets rid of her Friender account.
Her Facebook account. Yeah, it was a very thinly veiled Facebook. I was like, is this Friendster? I feel like that's really, really, she's too young for Friendster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they use Facebook?
Oh, of course not, Sarah, because Facebook would have sued them.
Well, I feel like I've seen in other movies people using Facebook?
They usually make a fake thing. They
Okay.
never use Facebook. Yeah. No, Facebook would have been like, especially in this movie. It also kind of depends on what's going on in the movie. Most corporations will not let you use their likeness if it's portrayed in a negative light, in which case she's using it to stalk people.
Yeah.
So
Which is what everyone uses Facebook for.
that's
Let's
true.
be honest.
That's true. It's true. Um so she's at this point, I think Ryan was angry with her about having seen him at her at the club, and then she
Yeah.
goes to apologize.
Yes. But she doesn't actually tell him anything. She's just like, it won't happen again. And I'm like, girl, like,
I don't honestly, Sarah, I don't think she owes him an explanation. Also, what is she supposed to say? I'm sorry. What I do is like on the weekends, I pretend to be really drunk and then I lure guys
if she
home.
wants to be close to someone, she has to tell them stuff like that.
I don't think she owed him an explanation in that moment.
She didn't owe it to him. I just thought that she owed it to if you want a relationship, you have to share yourself. And so what she did was not good for the relationship. I'm not saying she owed it to him or that he deserved it. I'm saying that if she did want the relationship to work, I mean, what?
You know, I think that's totally valid and fair. I feel like that it would have been healthy for her eventually if Ryan had not turned out to have had involvement in Nina's assault, which he does.
Yeah.
If he was just a guy who she knew in med school and they could live happily ever after, I think that she should have told him eventually the trauma that was caused by Nina's assault, but I don't think she needed to. I don't think she needed to tell him of that stuff. I think she was well within her right to keep that to herself. That's just how I feel.
Well, yeah, she was definitely well within it, right?
And I don't think it would have helped their relationship if she had told him that. I don't think he would have understood.
He wouldn't have understood.
I don't think
no.
anybody would have understood. I don't think anyone. You know who Gail might have been like? I think Gail would have been like, "That's fucked up."
Yeah.
But I don't think Gail would have shunned her.
Yeah.
Gail might have been the only person who can accept Cassie for who she is.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah, like what would Nina's mom think about all
Oh
this?
God, Nina's mom would not have been okay with it. I don't know Nina enough, and we don't ever get to know her, so I don't know what Nina would have felt about it. But Nina's mom seems to think that she would have wanted Cassie to move on with her life.
Yeah.
So then we have the love montage, and everything seems to be going pretty good for a little while there. She actually has a normal, happy life. She's moving forward. And then Madison shows back up at her house with the phone.
The phone that has a tape of the assault.
Yes.
And it's Al is the one who's doing the assaulting, but there are other men in the room.
They watched. Joe filmed it. Joe's the one who was played by Schmitty from New Girl.
New Girl. Oh yeah,
that's Joe.
What's his face? Green.
Yes, that guy. I'll look it up.
Yeah.
I've got the cast list up here. You keep talking. Max Greenfield.
Max Greenfield. Yes. I love that actor, and he just played the worst person in the world besides Al. I think he's even worse than Al, to be honest.
They're both terrible. They're both terrible. So he was filming it, but you can hear Ryan on the video. You know, he was there and he didn't do anything. And
Yep.
Yeah.
And
he's complicit in this assault.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling he knew it. I think he knew when he went to see her at the coffee shop the first time. I think he knew.
You think he knew that she was Nina's best friend, and that
he
absolutely was a part of that assault, and
his attitude the moment he finds out about that video exists, his attitude completely changes. He's not shocked that she would care about that video. He knew. I think he knew. So that's something he was keeping from her. You know, he was keeping that from her. Pretending like he moved. That's the thing is that this movie says is that all these people moved on with their lives like nothing happened.
Mhm.
And Nina didn't get to move on, and Cassie is not able to move on either, but everybody else
Yeah.
moved on like nothing happened,
Mhm.
including Ryan.
Yep.
Would you have watched the tape? Would you have watched it? If you were Cassie, would you have watched it? Because
If
there's a
that
moment where
was
she
my
has a
friend,
choice. Yeah. There's a moment she has a choice.
if like, for example, if that were you, hell no. I would not watch that
Well, let
tape.
me say it this way. Would you have moved on, let yourself move on with your life? Or would you have
God.
That's really what I'm asking. It's not about like watching the video. She has to make a choice whether she's gonna actually move on or not.
I think I would, just for survival's sake, and I mean, I wouldn't move on in, like, my heart. I don't know, like, it'd always be
That's a tough one.
traumatic.
That's a
It'd always
tough
be
one.
traumatic for me, but I wouldn't do what she did. Like, I wouldn't do the revenge thing.
I think it would be really hard for me. I'm trying to put myself in that place. Because now she has the thing is she has evidence,
Mhm.
but I think she knows that the statute because it's a rape case, the statute of
7
limitations,
years.
it's well past 7 years. She's 30 now. It's probably exactly 7 years if
It
you're
is
gonna
7 years. They say 70 years ago, so
the
I think
statute of
she made
limitations
that.
is up.
Mhm.
That video is not gonna do any good unless unless Al gets charged with a different crime.
Mhm.
So, the video alone is not gonna do anything for Nina. I think it would have been hard for me. I think if I were in her position, it would have been hard. I'm such a person that buries everything. It would have been hard for me not to just smash the phone and say, I can't. I don't want to know what's on there.
Yeah, no, I couldn't watch.
But I also don't know if I would have been able to move on either. Because of course, the phone is what tells her that Ryan was involved in her. Like, would you rather know what happened or continue with this guy thinking he's somebody he's not? Let
Well,
me
the
ask you
thing
that.
is that if that never, ever, ever came up and he never, ever behaved like that ever again, and you didn't
Does that
know,
excuse what he
does
did?
that no, it doesn't excuse what
Yeah,
he did, but if you didn't know and you could have a happy life not knowing, would that be okay?
I don't know. I don't know. It would have been hard if I was finally at the place where I was moving on. It would be hard for me to go, let me put aside my own happiness so that I can find the truth out. But also, I don't know if Ryan deserves to get a happy ending. I don't think he does. So, okay.
And you can see he turns on her too, like, when she, like, reveals, like,
Exactly.
her plan, and he's
So
like,
she made the right decision, at least in breaking up with him. Like, if she had not gone to the cabin and she just watched the video and then broke up with Ryan and then moved on with her life with somebody else, that maybe would have been the best decision in that situation.
yeah. And he also lied to the cops too.
He did. So he's actually not a nice guy.
Not. No.
He calls her a loser
Mhm.
because she dropped out of school and she's
Mhm.
threatening to expose him.
Yep.
Um but she does intimidate him into giving up the address for that bachelor party.
Yep. Why isn't he there, by the way? He's at the wedding, but he's not at
I'm
the
pretty
bachelor
sure
party.
once he knew that Cassie was going, that he excused himself from that event. I think he wanted to put some distance between himself and that whole group.
Okay, are we gonna talk about this?
Yeah, let's talk about Al Monroe.
Who's the a actor, by the way? He looks
His name is
familiar.
Christopher Lowell. He is Bash on Glow. So if you've ever seen the show Glow,
Glow,
he's the
yes.
manager on Glow.
He looks so young. He looks too young to be a
No. I'm
manager.
not talking about the guy. I'm sorry. There's the manager who's like played by Mark Maron.
Maron, yeah.
And then there's the other guy who's the money guy. The one who like wears the tux and actually announces the fights, and the one who was the investor initially.
Yeah, he still looks so young.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. I thought he was like Zac Efron for like a few minutes.
Oof. So there's a big old bachelor party. She shows up pretending to be a stripper.
Mm-hmm.
And why don't you talk about this?
Why don't I talk about this?
Why don't you tell us what happens? I have to say, I did not expect.
I did not expect this. So she walks in, and I'm expecting it to be more of the same. Like she like is like, oh, surprise! I'm gonna make you all suffer psychologically for what you did.
I knew that she was gonna drug them all. That was totally expected for me.
I didn't know she was gonna drug
them
all.
The minute she showed up with that vodka, I was like, that vodka is dosed, and she's gonna make all those guys pass out, and then she's gonna deal with Al. I knew that.
What happened. She gets, makes all those guys pass out and gets Al up, ties him up, or like handcuffs him to the bedpost.
He has no remorse for what he did.
And he's like, I just, I love my wife. I don't want to do anything. You're not going to do anything. Are you? You're just going to like tie me up? And she's like, yeah. Do I look like someone who would make you do something you don't want to do? And he's like, no. And then he asks her who she is, and she says her name is Nina. What is her last name?
Nina Forrest, I think.
Nina Forrest, or something. And he's like, no, she's dead. Like, you can't be.
Yeah, that's when the turn happens, and he starts to see that something's up. And then she begins talking about Nina, and this part was really heartbreaking for me, was to hear her talk about her friend and how special her friend was, and how I thought that the way the writer captured what it's like what trauma does to people was very eloquent, because she says that Nina was this amazing person who was like totally unique, and just like I just wanted to be in her orbit, but then after what you did to her, all you were she was replaced by you. She was replaced by the trauma of you.
Your name. She only heard your name.
Exactly. And that she got squeezed out by that. And I thought that was a really eloquent way to describe how trauma works. That event becomes like, it overtakes you, and it starts to push out. And I think even earlier in the film, that conversation between her father and Cassie about how he's like, we really miss Nina, but we really miss you. Like, that really broke my heart.
Yeah.
Because the trauma changed her as well.
Yeah.
And so her plan is she is going to rectify that. It looks like she's going to take a scalpel and carve Nina's name onto his body. I think.
Yeah.
That seemed to be the plan.
Yeah. And he manages to free one of his hands from the handcuff, and he gets on top of her and puts a pillow over her head, and it's a very prolonged drawn out
in real time.
Yeah, and
he suffocates her.
This made me think, wow, in so many movies the suffocation happens so quickly. It's so like, and then it just happens, and there's a big dramatic like kind of thing, and like that is not what happens in this case. It's very long and drawn out, and you're like, is he going to go all the way, or is he going to stop?
Is she going to pretend? I kept hoping she would pretend to. I was hoping she would stop moving so that he would think she was dead.
Yeah.
I did not expect.
Stop moving. Stop moving. And I was like, what? Are you telling her to stop moving, or do you want her to die? Like, what is happening here?
I did not expect the movie to take this turn. But I think that it did it. I think the why it did it was, what it did was necessary for the story to continue as we know, which is that this guy is, just because he says he's a nice guy and he's moved on with his life and he's getting married, he is a violent man who is capable of assaulting a woman, and obviously is also capable, like, there's a sickness in him that needs to perpetuate violence against women, and it, just because he isn't, just because we don't know what happened to him in between Nina and his wife, that doesn't mean he didn't continue to do violence to women, and he is capable of it, and here he is murdering a woman
Mhm. And
violently
why? But why would he kill her? Like, why wouldn't he just, like like
because he, well, I think, first of all, I think men that perpetuate that kind of violence don't see women as equals, or their lives to be as worth as much as their own is. And also I think that he sees her as a threat to the life that he has.
Yeah.
She has video. She's already told him she's got this video. She can roll in and tell his wife and everybody, she can ruin the promising future that he's built for himself.
Mhm.
And that's a threat to him. And so it's more important to him to eliminate that threat.
Yeah.
And I think in the heat of the moment, he's acting without thinking.
Yeah, but I think also the choice of by the director to prolong the moment so long for it to be like at some point he should have realized, I shouldn't be doing this. I should stop before I kill her. Like I
But the
should let.
point was to kill her. And
Mhm.
I think the fact that it goes on for so long is in part because um it actually does take a very long time to kill someone, to strangle or suffocate someone. And it is actually, as you and I know, as true crime fans, if you want to call us fans, that seems like a weird word, but people who are interested in true crime, um a lot of women are killed in
Mhm.
situations of rape and assault
Mhm.
afterwards using strangulation or
Mhm.
suffocation. That's a
Mhm.
very common way for those women to be murdered. And it actually takes a really long time. And so in the movies, most films, just like you said, they shorten it for our benefit, because then it's not
Way shorten
entertaining.
it. Yeah.
It becomes, at a point, it's not entertainment.
Yeah.
It's upsetting.
Yeah.
And this felt very upsetting.
Very upset.
It was
Upsetting.
awful. It was awful.
Yeah.
And not only does he kill her, he stays next to her all night. And then in the morning, Joe, he's not upset about what he did. None of these men are upset about what he did. Joe's not upset about it. Al's not upset about it, about the life that was lost.
Mhm.
It's like, here, this is how I felt, Sarah. It felt like, to me, the movie was like, now we're going to let you experience what Cassie's been carrying around with her in a microcosm for this whole movie. We gave you this character, you got to know her, we're going to kill her, and you're going to watch everyone else move on with their lives
Mhm.
and not be punished. And
Mhm.
that's exactly what happened to Nina.
Mhm.
These guys, they burn her body. They burn all the evidence. The only people that report her missing are her parents.
Mhm.
It doesn't even seem like Ryan is upset about what happened to her. He says he loved her, but he doesn't seem to actually be upset. He's certainly not upset enough to ask for justice for her. He's too afraid about how it might affect his life, which is probably exactly what happened back with Nina. He was afraid to be exposed for his complicity in what happened. So instead of getting justice for Nina, he pretends like it didn't happen, which is exactly what he does with Cassie and her murder.
Yep.
Anyway, what would you like to say? I feel like I'm talking a lot here about this and the
Um,
murder and how it affected you.
yeah, I think that I I was definitely surprised that she was killed, but I knew that that was how the story that would make the most sense. I guess it would be the best written story. Like, I don't know, like it made dramatic sense.
Yes.
But it also was very like, like we got to know her and we wanted to see her give it to these guys and then walk away into the sunset. Like, I did what I meant to do, and I had the last, like, not the last laugh, that's bad. I like accomplished my goal and now I can move on, hopefully. But she didn't get to move on.
Well, that's what happens at the end of these rape revenge movies. And we don't get that catharsis of revenge.
Nope.
We do get something else like it, but it doesn't feel cathartic or satisfying.
Because she's dead.
Do you think, well, it seemed, I'm not even going to ask this question because I was going to ask you if you think do you think she intended for this to result in her death?
Well,
is this something she went to do on purpose?
How could she have? I mean, like, I thought of that when
Because she fought for her life.
She did, and when she she sent the police to come and did she send the police to come and arrest him?
We'll talk about that in a minute, but I'm asking, do you think that she went to that cabin wanting to die?
Well, if she did, the initial, so she sent messages to Ryan.
She scheduled them, yes.
Scheduled messages to be sent to Ryan, which I didn't even know you could do.
Yeah,
but
it's questionable, but I'll accept it.
Who knows? It's what you can do for the iPhone.
iPhone users at FemMistakePod, can you schedule messages? Please help us out here.
Yes.
Wait, you have an iPhone, Sarah?
I do. I don't know. I haven't tried to schedule a message.
Maybe there's an app out there that'll let you schedule a message. She sends the phone to the lawyer and says, in the event of my demise.
So she thinks that she might be killed.
I don't know that she goes hoping to be killed, although it really is the only way that Nina's going to get any justice because they're not going to prosecute him.
I felt like the movie was trying to make me think that she essentially committed suicide. She sacrificed herself.
She did sacrifice herself.
These boys to men to justice.
I don't think she was wanting that though, because she fought pretty hard to not die. I think that she was either going to settle for permanently disfiguring him and exposing him anyway. Like, I think she was going to expose them. Like she said, I'll post this. I'll send this to your wife. I'll send this to your employers. Like, she was going to expose them one way or another, even if she couldn't get legal justice. But
why would she send the lawyer the phone? Why wouldn't she give it to him? Why wouldn't she send those texts to Ryan after? Why would she?
Because I think she knew that there was a good chance that she was going to get murdered. I think she knew that. And so if she was going to pay for this with her life, she was going to stick it to the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
So we do get the revenge, but it doesn't feel satisfying because at what cost?
Yeah.
At what cost? Like, yes, we want them to pay, but did we want them to pay with Cassie's life? I didn't want that. I don't think anybody else in her life wanted that. I don't think Nina's mom wanted it. I don't think her parents wanted it. I think her parents will be devastated. Also, I think this movie doesn't let up in the sense that it shows us how grief will continue to ripple outwards. There is no end to this grief. It's just now going to change into other people's grief. The grief of her parents and Gail, because now Gail gets the necklace.
Yeah.
Gail gets Cassie's necklace, and so Gail will now be the friend who's carrying around the grief.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think Gail's going to respond the way that Cassie did, but for the rest of her life, Gail is going to remember the tragedy of this woman that who was her friend, that she misses, that she was hoping she could have helped to make different choices.
Yeah.
So yeah, she sends the phone to the lawyer, and that leads to the cops arresting. I keep wanting to call him Bash because of Glenn.
Ow.
they send them to the. I mean, honestly, it was a pretty great image. The imagery of him being arrested at his wedding,
At a wedding.
while Ryan is looking at his phone going, well, I'm fucked. Like, that was all very powerful. And like, I guess there was a tiny bit of satisfaction for me there, just seeing that occur. But I'm not satisfied that Cassie is now dead. I'm not satisfied about that at all. And I'm not satisfied knowing that the other people in her life are going to now carry this grief that she also carried around.
And Ryan also, at least in that moment, he's not being arrested. He's not being being held accountable for the fact that he lied to the cops.
He will be.
He will be? Okay.
He will be. He will be. And they're going to search his phone and they're going to see those scheduled texts. It's all going to look very bad.
Yeah.
And I mean, they know he lied because he literally said, oh, she mentioned the work trip. They're going to come back and question him, and they're going to look through his phone, and they're going to have to know, where did she get this information from? She may have sent that in the letter to the lawyer, but this is the lawyer's chance to make things right. And he does. Ryan never takes his chance to make things right. So he ends up with the rest of them at the wedding, about to pay the piper, as the lawyer would say. He's they've come to pay the piper. Okay, final thoughts on Promising Young Woman. Wow, we got through this. I was not sure I was going to be able to even talk about this movie today. I thought I was going to need some time to decompress, but we made it through. I think this is a really important film, and I understand why there are people that feel like they can't watch it or don't want to listen to this conversation. I totally understand that, but I do think it's a movie that if you can watch it, you should. And I do think that all cis men should watch this movie.
Yeah, I have to say, after this discussion, I have more appreciation for the choices the director made, and hearing your point of view really helps with that. And I still feel certain things, about the initial, what she was doing to the men who had nothing to do with the event. But other than that, I think that it's a really good film, very well made, and very important topic. And I'm really glad that we got to discuss it today.
I agree. I am really glad that we watched this movie. I'm glad that we didn't make a guest watch this movie and potentially be traumatized by it. I'm glad that I am discussing it with you, somebody I feel like safe with, someone who's my best friend. And I'm glad that because I felt very shook after watching it, and it actually felt good to decompress and debrief,
yeah,
by talking about it.
Yeah, it did help.
Sarah, shall we do the Bechdel test?
Let's do it.
Okay. Does this film have more than one female character in it?
Yes.
Do those characters have names?
Yes.
Do they talk to each other?
Yes.
Do they talk about something other than a man?
Yes.
I think so. I mean, they're talking a lot. Huh? Well, they talk about Nina. You're right. They do. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, because I was like, because they're not talking about Al. Actually, Al is actually not what they talk about most of the time. It is about Nina. You're right. So that's good. Yeah. So, women and women's relationships, I think, a significant part of this film. In fact, the entire emotional core of this film hinges on a female relationship. So yeah, I'd say this is definitely.
One of them is not
right, but
anymore.
Their relationship is the emotional core of this film. Even if Nina is no longer, even if Nina is not in the film, it's about them and their relationship.
Yeah. There's Gail, and there's Nina's mom, and and Cassie's mom,
Madison,
and Madison,
and Dr. or
Dean
Walker. Yeah.
And the daughter as well.
Oh yes, yeah. Dean Walker's daughter. Yeah. So there's a lot of women, a lot of scenes with women in this. So yeah, definitely, for sure, passes the Bechdel test.
What kind of self-respecting female director would not have their film pass the Bechdel test?
Let's hope. Hey, welcome to Plug It Up. This is usually the part of the show where we plug stuff that we're working on, but instead, I'm just going to say that if you want to talk with us about this movie, if you have any thoughts that you'd like to share, we are on Facebook and Instagram at Feminine Mistake Pod, and you can find us on Twitter at Fem Mistake Pod. Of course, you can listen to the show on any of the podcast apps, and we have put up the vidcast version on YouTube on Critical Crop Top's YouTube channel. So instead of plugging stuff this week, what I will say is that I would like to plug the RAIN organization, that is Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. RAIN, they carry out programs to prevent sexual violence, help survivors, and ensure perpetrators are brought to justice. So that's their mission. You can easily go to their website, rain.org, RAINN.org, to make a donation in support of this organization, or if you need some help from this organization. And you can also use the phone number 1-800-856-HOPE. So that's RAIN, the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. All right. Well, now that the weather is intermittently better, of course, we're in springtime in the South, which means it's going to be a lot of rain. But in between that, I'm hoping to get out, take a walk from time to time, and enjoy what I hope is a new beginning for us as we all sort of slowly emerge from our pandemic caves, but with masks. With masks.
Yes.
I love you, Sarah.
I love you too.